In this DIY video, we're going to be going and turning copper wire or any thin wire into a wire tree. So let's go and grab our materials and get started. The copper wire that I'm actually using for this tutorial was stripped from something that someone was throwing out, and I usually try to go and use as much repurposed wire as I possibly can. Copper wire is usually the best to go and use for these crafts as well. What you're going to go and do is you're going to go and unbraid some copper wire, but if you're using a different type of wire that maybe is just in straight lines, you don't have to go and really do this step. But again, I like using things that are upcycled, and I love turning trash into new pieces of art and things that are reusable. So now that I have these unbraided, I'm going to go and take the small pieces, get them all lined up. You're probably going to need about 50 to 100 pieces of wire depending on how large you want to make this tree or how large your wire is. I'm using really thin wire, but what I'm doing is I'm using both of my thumbs and my finger and just really twisting this. I'm leaving the ends pretty much open, but the middle should be twisted, and the middle should just be 1 to 2 inches or maybe a little bit longer depending on how long you want this tree or how big you want it. At one end, you're going to make very small groupings and clusters of these wires and then twist them together. They should all be at pretty much the same exact level. This is going to be for the roots. For the upper portion, you're going to go and take small pieces of wire, go up and twist a small amount, and then twist these together only ever so slightly. You're going to continue to work your way up and make branches off, but leave metal in the center as well. Now go back and cut some of the wire. The wire is going to be a little bit long at some of the different areas. Leave more wire at the bottom and less wire at the top. And then also too, any wire that you cut off, make sure to go and recycle. I have a good amount of copper wire that's at the side, and I'm going to go and make another tree from the copper wire. And always too, when you're making crafts like this, do keep in mind that this wire can be really sharp, so keep an eye on it and just put it off to the side as you go and cut any pieces. Now this piece too, this is an extra piece that I had. I'm just wrapping this up and putting this extra wire off to the side, which is definitely a good idea. These smaller pieces too, you can go scrap. Now back to the actual tree. The branches, what I'm doing is I'm retwisting all of these different pieces. Usually I branch off 2 or 3 from the singular point, and then from there continue to branch off more. Now back to going and cutting some of the wire. I'm just sizing these a little bit. You should size them as well too. And then back to the roots. The roots I am retwisting as well, and making sure they're pretty much almost all the same length. They can be a little bit longer, but it gets kind of hard to go and work with them. Now putting on rocks or any sort of crystals to your tree. These ones have a small hole in them already, so what I'm doing is I'm just going and threading them through, twisting them, and making sure they are in place. Do this on every single one of the branches that you have made. Continue to go and twist these pieces on, and now we're going to go and take, this is actually an old yogurt jar that someone was going and throwing out, so I'm going and filling this with some rocks. These rocks I got from the dollar store. And then what I'm doing is I'm going and pushing all of the little tiny roots into the rocks, making sure that they are covered by the rocks and you can't really see them through the glass. Because this one is see-through, I have to make sure they're poked down pretty well. Now I'm mixing up some resin. The resin is going to be used to go and set the rocks in place, and there's a couple of ways that you can go and do this after you've mixed the resin. Also too, when you're using resin, you need to go and do this outside. You need to wear gloves, you need to have proper ventilation, and you need to make sure that this does not get onto your skin. If it does get onto your skin, it may cause issues. This resin that I'm using is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. Yours might be a little bit different in comparison to mine, and it really isn't that bad with the smell. Some resins though can be very, very highly smelly, so that's why you need to do this outside and need proper ventilation. Also too, make sure you mix your resin properly and you use proper proportions, or your resin might not set properly. It takes a bit of time to go and mix this, and now what you're going to go and do is you're going to go and pour the resin into the container where you have the rocks in your tree. There's a couple of ways that you can go and do this. You can either pour the resin on top and wait for it to go and set down, press your tree in place, or you can go and mix all of the different pebbles as well and remove the tree and then replace the branches. Now your tree after it is set and dried should look like this. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, take care and have a good one.